So my screen is visible to you, I suppose. And in the in the last class we are in the process of steps for constructing a domain model, and we had covered few steps like uh, let's say first identifying the right classes for creating your domain classes. Then first we'll find the classes, then we'll find the right classes, and then we'll go for preparing a data dictionary for our domain model. Then we are finding the association in the last class where we worked on this. And then the next step is for constructing your domain model is that uh, we have to find the right association. When we find the association, then we'll go for finding the right association. So considering that we have to find association in between them. So after let's say your stative words or your verb phrases that are being available, so all those things are association. And then once we have identified the association, then we'll go for finding a right association. So we are having some few parameters that are related to finding or keeping the right association. So we have to discard this unnecessary and the incorrect association. So we'll go for this following criteria. How will how we can discard the unnecessary association associated, or we had identified that. So first first criteria is that we have to find the association that is in between your eliminated classes. So let's say if you are having eliminated classes, or you have eliminated one of the classes in your association, so you must eliminate your association or restate it in terms of the another classes. For an example, when we are considering this ATM example, and we had started with this ATM example, so we can eliminate your banking networks. That includes your cashier status, your ATMs, ATM dispensers, caches, or ATM print receipts, or bank provider. So these are just these are some examples that we can eliminate uh, association that have been exist between your eliminate classes and the right classes. Then the second criteria is to identify that we have to second criteria is that irrelevant or the implementation association. So what are this? So when we are eliminating any association that are outside of our problem domain, or so these are considered as an implementation constructs that are associated with our information system. So again, considering our ATM example, so let's say a system handles your concurrent access is just an implementation detail. So we don't want to include in our association and domain model, because yeah, domain model is just a first case of or first view of your information system. It provides some static structure. So instead of having this system handles all those concurrent access, is just an irrelevant for constructing all those things in your first phase. Then going to third criteria. So third criteria is that action. So what is this action? So this is just an association that describes your structural properties of your application domain, and these are not your transient events. So sometimes you require some expression as an action that employs an underlying structural relationship, and you should rephrase it accordingly. So when we are considering this again our ATM example, so ATM accept cash cards. So this describes a part of interaction cycle between your ATM and the customer, and this is not a permanent relationship. So thus we can say that we can eliminate our ATM interacts with user, or central computer clears your transaction with banks, and so on. So all these types of actions. So this action can be eliminated right from your domain model, because these are the actions, and uh, these actions are usually transient events, and we don't want to add this transient event in our static structure, because these are the dynamic behavior. So we don't like to add a dynamic behavior, because this all those dynamic behavior will be restated or included in your state model. So we are focusing on our again our domain model or static model. Then we are going from ternary association. So what is this ternary association? So we can eliminate, or we can have some criteria that is associated with your ternary relationship. So we can decompose most of association into three or more classes into your binary association, or we can replace them as an qualified association. So if we are having a term in our ternary association that is in purely descriptive and it has no identity of its own, so then this term should be included as an attribute on your binary association. So let's say we are having association like a company pays salary to person. So we are having a ternary association like company pays a salary to a person. So uh, it can be rephrased as an binary association. Okay, fine. So am I audible this time? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
So we are again on the ternary. I think my connection में थोड़ा सा कुछ प्रॉब्लम आया था. So again I'm going for this ternary association, that let's say this is my a ternary association that is being available for us. So we are having a company and we are having uh, a person, and we are having some salary associated with each other. So what we can say that uh, we are having ternary association like a company pays salary to a person. So instead of going a ternary relationship or a higher value of relationship that is present, we what we can do is that we can rephrase our ternary relationship or the higher order relationship into binary relationship, and the remaining relationship can be stated as an attribute for the particular class. For example, let's say we have a relationship association like company pays a salary to person. So we had identified three classes over here. First is the company, second is the salary, and third one is the person. So instead of having uh, ternary relationship, what we can do is that we can rephrase it in a binary association like a company employs a person. So we have a binary relationship that a company employs a person, then we are having a salary value. So this value is associated with your employee information. So this is how we can rephrase our information into a relationship. Again, then we are considering this ATM example. Let's say uh, your bank computer process some particular transaction against some account that can be broken into bank computer process transactions and the transaction concerns account. So when we are ternary relationship, let's say bank computer, so first is the bank computer that processes transactions. So again we are having class transaction against an account. So we are having again we are having a ternary relationship, that is a bank computer, then transaction, then account. So this can be broken into, let's say first an bank computer processes your transaction. So this is one type of binary relationship. And when again we are having some transaction concerns of account, so again we can broke this ternary into two binary association. Or let's say we are having some other relationship like uh, let's say cashier enters a transaction for account. So that can be broken in the similar way. Let's say cashier is concerned with the transaction and the transaction is again concerned with the account. So this is how we can broke or rephrase our ternary relationship into a two binary relationship, or we can rephrase it as an a binary relationship with your particular attribute as a third value. Now the third criteria associated while keeping the right association is that we'll focus on our derived classes. So let's say when we are omitting the association, that can be defined in the terms of your other association because they are redundant. Let's say an example like when we are having derived classes. So the good example is that I have some grandparent and I have a parent. So this grandparent of is again a relationship. Again we are having a parent of, again an association relationship. So what we can do is that we can omit the association defined by the condition on particular attributes. Like let's say a younger than expresses the condition on your birth date. So this is again a derived relationship. So this is how we can omit our relationship. So this is some cases how we can omit our derived association. Let's say we are having grandparent and we are having a parent. So instead of having grandparent and parent, so we can go for this is my grandparent or this is my parent. So instead of having multiple derived association, when we can go for we can add some attributes over there, and thus we can achieve some better examples. Fine. Then again we are having some misnamed association associated with us. So when we are focusing on this domain diagram, so we don't say how or why the situation uh, came about, or let's say we are focusing on the what instead of how and why. So we have to assign some name to some association. So because when we have identified this name to the association, that then we can say that we are going to include some major association, or we are considering some important relationship. And we are when we are not having this unnamed association or misnamed association, then we can say that these are not that much important in the first place, so we can eliminate all those misnamed association in our exam. Again we are having the association and names. So we had covered this association and names in our previous classes. So what is this? We are again going for let's say bidirectional association names that are being associated with your each particular association. Let's say we are having a class employee, and again we are sorry, let's say company and let's say person. So company employees when we are going from direction, let's say company to a person, to company employees a person. And when we are going from a direction, let's say from person to employee, so again we are having an association. Let's say person is sorry, company is employer of your person, and the person is employee of your company. So this is how we can have some association and names. And we can add association and names where it is appropriate. Let's say again this is my example. Let's say for the ATM example, so ATM communicates with your central computer, so it is very clear for your class name. So an association between two instances of the uh, same class, that requires your association and names to distinguish what are the different instances available. Again we are taking an example. Let's say person manages person. So instead of having this person manages person, so this is again a self loop on that particular class. So instead what we can do is that a boss manages your particular mm, employee or worker. So again your boss is a person and your workers is a person, but when we are putting end name, so it means that you are giving some instances, and you are including some important instances in your classes. Then the next criteria is to find the right association, is that we should go for our qualified association. So what are these qualified association? So usually a name associated or name that identifies a particular object, so it identify in particular context. So most let's say most of the names that we are using are not globally unique. So when we are considering this context, so this context combine with your name to uniquely identify the particular objects. Let's say we are having a boss and we are having a worker. So instead of boss and the worker, these are not unique names. So what we can do is that we are having, let's say we are considering a Tata. So Tata company's boss or TCS boss, and then again worker. So TCS worker. So this is how we can identify uniquely. We can identify uniquely a global variable or global objects instead. So we should go for qualified association. So we can add a particular uh, a particular qualified name in, and we should not go for, let's say in general cases. Again let's say consider an example of your ATM. So the qualifier bank code, so we can have a bank code. So this bank code, we can put a bank code on your particular relationship. Let's say we are having an ATM code and we are having a bank code, so we can uh, associate different ATMs with your particular bank code. So this is how we can identify that these ATMs are related to the particular bank code. So we should go for some qualified association, and those qualified, if the qualified associations are not available, then we can eliminate all those associations right from your domain. Then the another criteria is that the multiplicity. So just an you can specify multiplicity, but we don't want to make much effort for getting it right, because this multiplicity often changes in the each iteration. So the challenge of the multiplicity is that, say we are having the one, there's a one to many. So let's say one boss manages many employees, or one boss works on different employees. So and this is how we can identify multiplicity. So don't consider or don't go for a specific, but yeah, if you are having the multiplicity associated with your particular association, then this is a good thing. And then if we are not having the association, so what we can do is that we can remove or eliminate all those associations. So again, another criteria is the missing association. So we can add any missing association that are to be discovered. For an example, let's say we are considering our ATM example. So we had overlooked, let's say, transaction entered on the cashier station, or the customer have accounts and the transaction authorized by cash card. So again, let's take consider an example, then customers of the ATM. So again, we can have an association, like then each customer have an account. So we can uh, identify and add some missing association that we had missed in our domain diagram. Then we are having aggregation. So aggregation is just an important, and then this is an special kind of association that is being available. So uh, so if you are losing all these things, so what we can do is that we can remove uh, 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 what we can do that because this association is just an a natural way, or we can say that it is just an whole part relationship that exists on your particular association, or we can say that this association in a special case of your aggregation. So whenever we are having the aggregation, then we will consider aggregation unless what we can do is that we can remove this relationship right from your domain model. So just move let's say our initial class diagram of your particular class. So this is my an initial class diagram. So considering this class diagram, it shows the remaining association that are being available. So we had included only the significant association with the name. So and we can split our transaction. So we are having this transaction, so these are the transactions that are being available. So this transaction have been splitted to your remote transaction and your cashier transaction. So this transaction is being splitted, and then uh, and this can help us to accommodate a different types of association relationship. Because when we are having this let's say when we are considering this only the transaction, so we cannot identify that these are so when we are considering this remote transaction and the cashier transaction as an whole, as an aggregate transaction over here, so we cannot identify that this transaction is being carried out over ATM or carried on the your cashier station, and thus it makes some ternary relationship. So this is how what we can do is that we can uh, split our association our classes into two different parts. And in addition to that, we are having some multiplicity available. So we can made some analysis on the different decisions with some different ways. So we are having lots of ways, so that we can correct all those models. So we are in the first process, and in the first initial process we can identify this domain diagram. So uh, while you are if you had developed your domain diagram, so now you can uh, update your domain diagram as a third phase of your practical. So this is how you can update your domain diagram. So this is our third mm, third list of experiments that you can update your domain diagram like all those types of steps that I am going to discuss on your initial class diagrams of your ATM classes. So this is how you can go for your different diagrams. Then again, going for next slide. So next thing is next step to construct our domain model is to finding the attributes. So next we have to find the attributes. So usually your attributes are your data properties of your particular individual objects. Like say you are having a weight, or you are having some velocity, or you are having some color associated with your particular classes. And when we are considering this attributes value, so this attribute value should not be your particular object. So we can have some association relationship between two objects, but we don't have some relationship in between your particular attributes. So when we are considering these attributes, so these attributes usually corresponds to your noun, and then this noun is being followed by your some possessive phrases like uh, color, or the color of the car, or we can say the position. So let's say this is my position, or this is a position of the cursor. So it will start with a noun, and then we can have some possessive verb phrases, not verb phrases, or uh, followed by. Then we can have some adjectives. So these adjectives are uh, this adjectives can be used as an enumerated items with your particular attributes. Let's say you are having color red, and then we are having some on, or we can have uh, expired values and so on. So unlike your classes and association, your attributes are less likely to be fully described in your problem statement. So you have to identify this attribute. So you must draw your knowledge of the application domain. So the important thing is that you have some domain knowledge available, and right from your domain knowledge you can identify different attributes right from your problem statement. So in addition to that, if you are not comfortable with the not having that domain knowledge, so what you can do is that you can go for some background work, or the literature, or the legacy system, or some uh, literature available, and then you can identify different artifacts and their attributes from this literature or the background work. Now, in addition to identify these attributes, don't go for too excessive attributes. So we don't want some excess attributes right from your first model. So you can go for only sufficient number of attributes that are more important in the initial phases. So that we can identify the right association in between your classes. So this is how we can find attributes. Now the next thing is that if at first once we had identify all those attributes, then we'll go for keeping the right attributes with us. So this is my next criteria for constructing our domain model. So when we are keeping uh, right attributes, so we have to eliminate this unnecessary and incorrect attributes with the following criteria. So what are the following criteria? First is the objects. So uh, let's say consider our example. Let's say we are having a relationship that is an boss, and we are having again, so boss refers to your particular class. So this boss is just an instance of your or let's say object of your particular class. Let's say worker, or again employee, and so on. And we are having salary that is being associated with that particular boss. So we have to identify or make some distinction in between objects and the attributes. So your objects are, let's say, independent, and when we are going from this attributes, so these attributes have some semantic relationship between your types of objects. So when we are going for identifying this attributes, so we must identify what are the objects and what are the attributes, because both objects and your attributes start with your particular name, particular noun. So be cautious while identifying these objects and these attributes, because many times students will combine or have some um, problem with identifying these objects and identifying this attributes. So you have some clear idea what are the attributes and what are the objects. Fine. So when we are considering the attribute, it means that you are having a name started with your particular noun, and then we can have some possessive verb phrases or phrases available. So let's say when you are considering the color, so this color is color of the car, so we can say that this is an attribute. When we are considering a let's say I-20. So I-20 is a car, so we can say that this is an attribute. So this is how we can identify our objects and the attributes, and this is an clear cut distinction between your objects and the attributes. Then we are having another criteria, that is an qualifier. So if the value of your particular attributes depends on the particular context, then consider the restating your particular attribute as an qualifier. Let's say for an example, we are having some employee ID or the employer number. So this employer ID or employer number is not unique property of a person with two jobs. Let's say it qualifies the association, like say company employs a person. So if you are a company employs a person, then this is good, but we cannot say that we had a particular qualifier available. So again, what you can do is that you can identify whether it is an qualifier or this is an attribute. So this when you are considering it as an qualifier, then you can remove this qualifier right from your attributes, because we are considering only attributes in our model. Then we are having some names. So these names are often better model as the qualifier rather than the attributes. So again, when we are having names, so these names are again considered as a qualifier, so we can remove these names as well from our model, because we are considering only the right attributes. Again, when we are considering this name, so this name is just an attribute when its usage doesn't depend on the context. So especially, let's say these are not unique, so what we can do is that we can remove our names from our model. Then we are having some identifiers. So let's say consider your object oriented language incorporate the notion of objects identifier. So this usually your identifiers are unambiguously reference to your particular objects. So we don't want to include an attribute whose only purpose is to identify a particular object. So we have to only the list of attributes that exist in your application domain. For an example, again consider your account code. That is a genuine attribute. When we are having a bank assigns your account codes and then customer sees them. In contrast, you are having a list, you should not have on the list of internal transaction IDs. So this list of internal transaction ID, when we are considering this, then this can be considered as an identifier. So we can remove a transaction ID right from your uh, attributes. Instead, what we can have available is that we can contain only account code. So this is how we can segregate uh, your identifiers with your attributes, and we have to consider only attributes. Again, we are having some attributes. So what are these attributes? So when we are having some binary ternary relationship, and then we like to convert this ternary relationship into the binary relationship, we are having some attributes. So we rephrase our ternary relationship into binary relationship, or the higher order relationship into the binary relationship. So what we can do is that we can identify these classes as an attribute. So this is how we can gain some right attributes right from your association. Then we are having some internal values. So let's say if we are having an attribute that describes the internal state of your object that is invisible to uh, object, so we can eliminate it from your analysis. Why? Because this is an internal value, and this internal value reflects your particular dynamic behavior of your particular domain of your information system. So it usually defines a dynamic model. So instead of having include in your included as an attribute in your model, what we can do is that we can include it in your state model, which reflects your dynamic behavior of your particular information system. So this is how we can eliminate our internal values right from your domain model. Then we are having the fine details. Again, these fine details are very minor attributes. These are considered to be the very minor attributes. So then we can discard all those fine details as well, as because this is just a part of internal values. Then we are having some discordant attributes. So an attribute, this is an attribute that seems and completely different and unrelated to your all other the attributes that available in your particular class. So what we can do is that we can split our classes into two distinct classes, and then so what we are trying to do is that if you are having some attributes and these attributes are not related with the other attributes of your classes, and by the definition of your class contains semantically related attributes or semantically related properties or attributes. So what we can do is that we can split our classes, so make them all those attributes as an correlated with the other attributes. Again, just say, like say we are having a class student, so this student has roll number and this student has an different courses that he is enrolled in, and again he is age, he's having age. Again, a student can uh, breathe. So obviously it is obvious that a student breathes because he is a person. So but when we are considering these classes, we are having some discordant attribute, that is an name, age and courses he is enrolled in, and another attribute is that he breathes, a student breathes. So fine, so what we can do is that we can split these classes into the two parts, and then we can make all those into simple a simpler way. Then we are having some boolean attributes. So again, this boolean, we have to reconsider our all boolean attributes. So uh, we can broaden our boolean attributes, and we can restate it as an enumeration instead of having attributes. So this is how we can remove our boolean attributes. So this is our example. So this is my example. In this ATM example, what we are having, that we are having the bank code available and card code that are present on the card. So what we can do is that we must have a new association, let's say bank issue available here, and then right from this bank issues your cash card, and then you are having some cash card available, and right from your cash card, so this cash sorry, the card code that you are having, so in your card code you are having some qualifier association, like you are having some bank code and the qualifier of a bank. So in respect to that, we had uh, 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 again redefined this this class model in your state diagram. So we had uh, considering the right number of attributes, and we had eliminated the remaining attributes right from your model. So this is just an example how we can achieve your class diagram, sorry, domain model right from your previous model. So this is how we can consider this is a new class model with your finding your attributes and keeping all those attributes in your model. Then we'll go for refining our inheritance. Once we had identified inheritance, then we'll go for organizing our classes by using some inheritance to share a common structure that is being available. So inheritance can be added into two directions, either by generalizing some common aspects of existing classes into a superclass, or we can go for a specialization. So either we can go for generalization or we can go for specialization. So we are having some criteria available. So we are having different types of uh, inheritance that are being available. So first is your bottom up generalization. So when we are considering this bottom generalization, we can discover our inheritance right from your bottom up to bottom up by searching our classes with having similar attributes and association and operation. And when we are in this generalization, we can define our super classes to share our common features. So my first criteria is that we have to discover inheritance right from your top bottom to going to top. So uh, when we are considering this bottom approach, let's say we are having some remote transaction available here. So in this diagram we are having a remote transaction and the cashier transaction. So this is my I don't think so. I put it wrong model. So we are having a remote transaction and we are having a cashier transaction, and this remote transaction and the cashier transaction are just an uh, similar way. So this is my cashier transaction and this is my remote transaction. So what can I do is that we can go for a bottom up generalization, and then we can identify the similar type of attributes and similar type of the properties, and then these properties and attributes can be put on your super classes, and then this can achieve some specialized way for these classes. So this is a way where we are having bottom up approach. So in bottom up approach we are having cashier transaction and remote transaction. So what we can do is that we can make a super classes, and this super class share their attributes and properties to this cashier transaction and the remote transaction. So what are this, the what kind of transaction? So if it is an cashier type, so it can go for this transaction or it can go from this remote transaction. Then the date, time and the amount, and these are the common attributes. So we'll consider all this in the super class transaction, and then a specialized way we can go for different attributes. Then again we are having another type of approach, is that we are having a top down specialization. So your top down specialization are often apparent from your application domain. So we start with looking for your noun phrases that are composed of various adjectives on your classes. Let's say uh, this super top down. So this top down approach is not available in our particular example. So we are starting right from your uh, top down approach. So let's say we started with the S triple V, and then right from your right from your CS department, and right from your CS department we are having some specialization available. So we had started with your CS department, and then we are having a specialization associated with the IBM and the Red Hat and Apple and the MPTers. So what we can do is that we can start right from your super class, that we are having a CS department, and the CS department shares some common class codes and courses available. Then we are having, again then we are moving to bottom, or we are going to down right from your top class or right from your super class. So what we can have is that we are having CS with IBM and CS with Red Hat, or CS with the MPTers. Again we are having CS with IBM, so we are again having some specialization. Then we can go for CS with CS IBM with AI, or CS IBM with the big data, or CS IBM with the cloud computing or the blockchain or the data science. So this is how we can go for top down specialization. Then we are having another type of inheritance, that is in generalization versus enumeration. So usually your enumerated subclasses are in your particular application domain are usually most frequent source of specialization. So when we are considering this enumeration, these are the frequent source of your specialization. So what we can do is that we should uh, focus on the sufficiency for a set of enumerated subclasses, subcases, or enumerated subclasses that exist. So what we can do is that, let's say we are considering again this ATM example. So we are having some checking accounts available, and then we are having some saving accounts available. So these are just an generalization with your enumerated enumeration. So when we are considering this checking accounts and the saving accounts, these are undoubtedly useful in your banking application, and these don't have um, much more distinction in between their behavior for your ATM application, because you can take money out right from your checking account, or you are taking this value right from your saving account. So this checking and the saving account have some particular behavior in your banking system. But when you are considering the ATM system, what you can do is that this ATM system and this banking system, sorry, your cashier and sorry, your current account, your saving account, this should be considered as an enumerator, because we can take money right from both examples. So instead of having generalization for in your banking system, we can apply this these two types of uh, classes as an enumerated in your ATM example. And this works good when we are having works good with your generalization when you are having banking system that is being available. So you have to consider, or you have to identify the context while you are considering this generalization and enumeration. So again, you are having an account, and the account is specialized in two ways. Either it is an saving account, or it is an current account. So this is good in your banking system. But when we are in enumeration, or when we are in the ATM system, this could be considered as an enumerated part, because it doesn't make any sense, because we don't have that much limit. You are having a limit that you can take only 10,000 right from your ATM card. So this doesn't make any sense to identify them as an specialized class. So we can go for enumeration type for this particular type of cases. Then we are having some multiple inheritance that are being available. So we can use our multiple inheritance to increase our sharing, and but we can limit it whenever it is necessary, because it increases both conceptual and the implementation complexity. So you should go only for a multiple inheritance whenever it is necessary. Don't go for too much complexity, because it makes lots of complexity in your implementing your program, because it can have some disjoint inheritance, or it can have some ambiguity related to your uh, implementation level. Then identify the similar association. So when we are in same association, that names appear more than the ones in your substantial class models, so it means that they are having a same meaning, and we like to generalize all those associated names as an I'm just waiting for class. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, so when we are considering this association, it means that my association we can consider all those classes that are in same association. Then we like to generalize all those association. Then sometimes we don't have common attributes that are being available, but we are having the same type of association. So what we can do is that we can generalize all those things as an uh, we can generalize all those cases instead of having a similar association. Then last step is that adjusting your inheritance level. So we have to maintain the right class hierarchy. Instead of going too deep, we can have some shallow inheritance level. So this is good when we are having a very deep inheritance level, so that can increases your size of object and so on. So what you like to do is that we can shallow our inheritance relationship. So this is for today, and then we'll cover some more attributes for considering our domain model. So meanwhile, if you are having some problem, you can ask me, and